than any team has been ever to take a quarterback at number one. I mean, the most relatable is maybe Andrew Luck going to Indy because he had Reggie Wayne and T.Y. Hilton. But we're talking about a situation where the skill group is clearly above average, and DJ Moore is at the pinnacle of that, and then Keenan Allen in his addition. So you have above average skill group. Usually doesn't happen for a number one pick at quarterback. You have above average offensive line. Usually doesn't happen for a number one pick at quarterback. And then you have above average defense, well above average. Last 8 games of the season last year, this was the number one defense in the NFL. Justin Fields, his first 2 years, had the 30th ranked defense in the NFL. The addition of a player like DeAndre Swift. So you try to find a correlation, RC and Kimberly, to a number one pick at quarterback stepping into a roster that's as healthy. And candidly, you can't find it. And that's why, absolutely, this is the best situation a number one quarterback has gone into in at least 30 years.
In 30 years, Daniel? 30 years? Is that 30
Absolutely.
in our lifetime?
Absolutely.
Really? Really? Okay.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and the other thing that's been hard is we look at last year's situation with Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. Many of us thought that Bryce Young would be going into the better situation. And so a lot of what Dan said about Lewis's recognition of the way people gravitated toward C.J. Stroud, we saw that manifest itself in Houston. Maybe we could see the same thing from Caleb, who will be in a better situation. Now it's for the best thing on the show with Kmart Be Shocked. And we're going to get right into it because that picture says it all. Kmart, would you be shocked if Dak Prescott doesn't get an extension?
Ryan, I would be shocked because what are we doing here? I feel like the whole offseason, we knew this was coming. The Cowboys have to do something with his contract. I understand they converted some money, $5 million. Great. That doesn't help actually free up space in the way that they need to. I think this is a team that has holes, and we want to see them get Dak extended, figured out, and it would shock me, seriously, if that didn't happen.
If Stephon Diggs is traded.
Okay, how about this? I would be shocked if he were traded. Now, don't get me wrong. When Stephon came out after the season, was like, I don't know what the future holds. I was like, what are we doing right now? But Stephon honestly tweets like a 14-year-old girl trying to get the attention of her like 8th grade crush, and it's just all for attention. I don't think he's going anywhere. People in Buffalo, they love him. I think this is a season where him and Josh Allen need to ball out together.
If Justin Fields is Pittsburgh Steelers' week 1 starter.
Okay, here's the thing, Ryan. I would be shocked in week 1, but week 5, yeah. That's where I would put Justin Fields as a starter. I think this is a situation where Pittsburgh understands their future could be in Fields' hands, and I think sooner than later, you would rather see him on the field to know what you have for the here and the now.
If I'm the Pittsburgh Steelers, if I'm Omar Khan, I want Justin Fields to win the job. That's exactly what I want. When I bring him into the building, Dan, I want to go in with an open competition, whether Russell Wilson was named the starter or not headed into training camp. And I want Justin Fields to win because that gives me an opportunity to have a quarterback of the future, not a bridge guy, not a guy on the back end of his career, but a young, talented quarterback that needs the right pieces around him who showed signs of being very good late last year. Dan, please tell me that you agree.
Oh, absolutely. I think the way I would phrase it is you can bank on Russell playing good football. You are intrigued by Justin playing really good to great football. And I think I do think it's going to end up being some form of a competition, RC. It's going to come down to who fixes their, fatal flaws. All right, this is really shocking when it comes to both of these guys, all right? And I'm fans of both of them. Who's going to take the less ridiculous sacks? In the last 2 seasons, Russell Wilson has taken 100 sacks. Yeah. Justin Fields has taken 99. Yeah. No other quarterback in the NFL has taken more than 80. So who can get that out of their game just a little bit? Justin, I would be more inclined because he's younger. And then which one of these 2 guys gets rid of the negative plays? Negative plays are sacks, they're fumbles, and they're interceptions. Here's another one. Justin Fields in the last 2 seasons has 145 negative plays. Russell Wilson has 135. No other quarterback in the NFL has $115. So you're intrigued, you're encouraged, but which one of those guys gets rid of those fatal flaws of their games more consistently?
My vibe, bro.
That not only is going to be the starter, I think that's going to be the guy that makes Pittsburgh meaningful in December.
Dan, you're killing my vibe. I'm sorry. I want to be excited about the Steelers QB situation. All the numbers.
You should be. It's an upgrade.
No. So trust me, as somebody who watches the Steelers in real time, it's an upgrade. I think for me, the question of Russ versus Justin right now, I think it's great. The Steelers said Russ is the guy. I think it's wonderful because I think Russ kind of needs that too for his own confidence coming into a situation. I think Denver situation really humbled him. But I do think that we also have to be very clear. Yes, Russ can still play. But the most attractive thing about Russell Wilson is that price tag. Because if he were going for the same amount of money that you had to pay Kirk Cousins, he would not be in Pittsburgh. So I think, let's call it what it is. That's the reality, and it's fine. But you give Russ the time. He's the veteran. Right now, I think Russell will be more inclined to get the ball out quicker. I think he will be more inclined. I'm not trying to hold on to the ball forever. But if his play isn't exciting, if the offense isn't generating the type of points that you need, I think the Steelers well within the right to say, hey, let the young kid shine a little bit.
Dan, is Arthur Smith's offense good enough? Is he a good enough coach to get both of these guys or one of these guys to get rid of some of those mistakes?
Yeah, I would bank on Justin being the guy that can do that. Russell Wilson, Arthur loves to go heavy play action and throw the ball over the middle of the field. That's something that Russell Wilson has not been certainly recently comfortable. Arthur Smith comes from Atlanta. That was the team that we wanted Justin Fields to get traded to last year because the major in that offense is the play action pass, and Justin Fields is fantastic at it. Now, Russell Wilson is pretty good at it as well. My caveat to this, RC, is last year I so often wanted Arthur Smith to use Desmond Ritter's athleticism in Atlanta more, and to help him just maybe get some easier plays. That didn't happen. That has to happen if Justin Fields is going to be the guy. But the premise of this offense is going to be the play-action pass game and running the football, and I think Russell Wilson's good at that. I think Justin Fields can be spectacular at it.
I think that's what the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for at this position. Can we find a way to be spectacular? It's not just about an upgrade. And when you listen to some of the things that they need to improve on, Dan has totally taken all of my excitement out about the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback room.
Come on.
Listen, we start the morning
You can be excited still. You can be excited still, Reality sometimes.
Yesterday, signing pass catcher Mike Williams to a one-year deal with to be paired with Garrett Wilson, giving them a 1-2 punch like we haven't seen in New York in an incredibly long time. It's been a very busy offseason for the Jets, who have added a bunch of veteran players to plug up some weaknesses. In addition to Williams, they have added 3 different offensive linemen to fix protection for Aaron Rodgers, which is all important. Also, Tyrod Taylor was squared up to be the backup quarterback to Aaron, something that he's done well throughout his career. Dan, what does adding Mike Williams do for the New York Jets?
Yeah, it's the ultimate finger-crossed football team in the NFL this year. They just have to keep their fingers crossed that all of these additions, Mike Williams very much so at the forefront, stay healthy. Now, if you're going to hear us say that a ton about them, if Mike Williams is healthy, the addition of him paired with Garrett Wilson, it gives the Jets the worst, third-best wide receiver duo in the AFC. Behind, obviously, Cincinnati, T. Higgins. Let's see if he signs his tag, and then the Miami Dolphins. But Mike Williams is a walking explosive play. Basically, 1 out of every 4 catches is an explosive play downfield. And that's something that this offense has needed for a long time. But it's back to the point of RC, your fingers crossed, because this is the biggest dice roll in the NFL as well. If he could stay healthy, if Tyron Smith, who's going to be protecting a 40-year-old quarterback coming off of an Achilles tear, if he could stay healthy, then this offense has got a shot, but that's going to be a tall task in a 17-plus game season.
Yeah, I agree with Dan. Look, who can stop the Jets when you look at this offense? 2 things. Father time and the turf at MetLife Stadium. Those are the 2 things. And this is the ultimate boomer bust team, to Dan's point. But I love this move. The reason I love it, though, the Mike Williams signing, is because Joe Douglas, we criticized him, rightfully so, last year, because 4 plays into the season, they didn't do anything to surround Aaron Rodgers with good enough offensive line help, and then they didn't make any moves after that. Well, he's done the opposite this year. Don't know how it's going to turn out, but at least Mike Williams came in the door, got that Taylor ham, egg, and cheese sandwich from one of the Jets fans, and it was good. And that showed before this man leaves the building, he's signing with us. And that's the aggressiveness that I like to see from the Jets.
I mean, if you're Joe Douglas, you put everything on Aaron Rodgers' shoulders last year coming into the season. And if you listen to guys like Sauce Gardner, even McCole Hardman, who was with the Jets early on in the season, Nathaniel Hackett wasn't building an offense that it didn't matter who played quarterback. Right. He built an offense for Aaron Rodgers. And if you're Joe Douglas, it's about protecting him and giving him skilled players on the outside to throw to. Dan, what grade would you give the New York Jets on this offseason?
Yeah, so far it's an A, but it's written in pencil, certainly not written in pen because, again, there is such a unknown with how much those guys are going to play. I mean, it starts with Aaron Rodgers. I firmly believe that he's going to show up and not skip a beat play-wise, but I don't know because I don't know how often we have, empirical data of a quarterback 40 years old coming off of the Achilles tear. We have to see what Tyron Smith's health is going to be. If Tyron Smith is healthy and plays a ton of games, it's a massive upgrade at left tackle. If Mike Williams is healthy and plays a ton of games, it's a massive upgrade at the wide receiver spot outside of her opposite, Garrett Wilson. So the addition of these offensive line pieces certainly play its part, but they got to all stay healthy and play together. That is what's plagued this football team ever since Aaron Rodgers became part of it.
Yeah.
But that's the scary part to me. It's a ton of ifs when we talk about the New York Jets. It's if this guy is healthy, if this guy can play to the potential that we used to see him play at. And we haven't seen a ton of these guys be that in a couple of years.
Or Aaron Rodgers, period.
Or Aaron Rodgers, period, in the Jets uniform.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Aaron Rodgers in the Jets uniform, does it make this team a Super Bowl contender?
Ooh, wow. I thought you were going to give me like a lower bar to clear. No.
That's no fun.
No. Super Bowl contender, no. No, I don't see it. That's a bridge too far. I'm not willing to cross that. I think they can definitely win the division. But again, a lot of ifs. If everybody stays healthy from top to bottom, starting with the quarterback, division, win a playoff game. But I think the AFC is so stacked. Right. That is what works against the Jets. Aaron Rodgers could have a phenomenal season, but you got a CJ Stroud, you got a Lamar, you got a Joe, Josh Allen, all these. It's a murderer's row when it comes to the QBs in that conference.
But Dan, wasn't Aaron Rodgers brought to New York to win the Super Bowl? And how long do they have to not be contenders?
Oh, he was absolutely brought there to win a Super Bowl. And going into week 1 last year when he ran out on Monday Night Football, they were Super Bowl contenders. They absolutely are Super Bowl contenders. They're a better football team roster-wise and talent-wise today than they were week 1 of last football season. But it's the caveat, RC. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if we can fast forward 9 months and they all stay healthy or all those pivotal pieces stay healthy, there's no question that this football team is a Super Bowl contending football team. But this is the only team that we have those massive ifs about when it comes to those pivotal pieces of their health. How long does he have to win a Super Bowl? I mean, he's got realistically 2 more seasons, 3 more seasons maximum.
So I'm surprised that Daniel would say with such definitiveness that the Jets are definitely a Super Bowl contender. Because the caveat is, there's just so many ifs because it's an A, but it's written in pencil. That's the thing that stops me. Because if clearly you're looking at the roster and saying this is a Super Bowl contending roster, then you got to give Joe Douglas A in pen. But if there's any question about if, then I don't think you can say they got a shot. But will that happen? I don't know. So I can't say it with my chest like that.
Yeah, there's 2 things I'm sure of. Last year's roster wasn't a Super Bowl roster, and that Joe Douglas did a ton to improve that roster for this year. Okay, here we go, guys. Back to Dan and quick reads. As you're studying these draft quarterbacks, Dan, starting with Jayden Daniels, what stood out for you?
Yeah, he's a tactician with elite athleticism. I think he's got the fastest eyes in this draft. And RC, his ball placement is premier. Reminds me a lot of CJ Stroud of last year. And even when you watch his tape and he has misses, he don't miss by much. And I think it's that tactician element of his game that you sit there and go, well, that is a trait that is going to be repeatable on Sundays on a consistent basis, and you have to love that in this young man's game. J.J. McCarthy from Michigan, I think he's the most consistent quarterback in this draft. He's a play-action pass savant, and everybody knows how much I love the play-action pass game and need it more into the NFL. Now, I want to be honest. There's games where you sit there and go, he only makes 4 or 5 throws. He's only asked to make 4 or 5 throws, and every ball seems so often to be thrown as hard as it can. What I want to see more is a little bit more love, a little bit more touch on the football. And then to, by all reports, who will be the number 1 pick in a pro day today in Caleb Williams. If there's a big play there, this young man wants to make it. If there's a big play there, this man is capable of making it. He's a magician with the football and so often chasing and or hunting big plays. And you absolutely love that element of his game. Sometimes it gets himself into trouble, certainly in college football, and it absolutely will in the NFL. But he is a walking highlight reel at the quarterback spot.
I love Caleb Williams, getting an opportunity to see him twice in person. The dude is absolutely electric. What must he show you today